Hi everyone, no major news today, so let's get straight into these charts while the markets continue to push towards new all-time highs and look for that continuation into tomorrow's session. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. So looking at the Fear and Greed Index, this continues to tick up very slowly. 66 from a 64, again, 75, 76 is extreme fear. We're getting very close to that as we kind of see this resumption here. Seems like a pullback in time, seems like we're going to get a little bit of an acceleration tomorrow, but understand that momentum, strength, and breadth are all in extreme greed. When those three are aligned, usually markets are going to be topping out soon. Doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately. Certainly can see one or two more big spikes. Put call ratio back into regular greed as this dips down further. Volatility continuing to grind slowly lower. And safe haven demand back into greed while junk bonds continue to hover. People are still concerned about those junky companies and all of the debt on their balance sheet, but everything else is trending towards greed, if not already there. Moving over to the economic calendar, not much here for the Tuesday. Consumer confidence came in a little bit weak, but the previous number was revised up slightly, so kind of mixed signals there. Would have liked to see that be above 100. And then for tomorrow, not a whole lot. New home sales, 5-year note auction. But as we roll into that Thursday, tons of data here. Core PCE, GDP numbers, core durable goods, Fed Powell speaking, and a bunch of other Fed members speaking as well as that 7-year note auction, Janet Yellen speaking. So quite a lot of information coming out on Thursday. Could be a choppy market session. Moving over to the charts, looking at the S&Ps here, you can see we closed right at the top of the candle, so you like to see that. 0.29 to the upside, momentum continuing to stay basically flat, but grinding slowly higher. This continues to look pretty decent. We are definitely at all-time highs on a closing basis, looking to take out that Thursday high, which is up at 572.88, so just about $1 off of that. And based off today's candle, you have to assume that tomorrow's going to be going higher as well. We said as long as this 565.16 level held, which it did on Friday, and then we didn't get anywhere near it, so you would expect this to continue to rally here on this slow grinding price action. This is price discovery. Your only real price target is the high from Thursday. And then looking at it on the short time frame here, you can see that grinding price action, holding the 9, holding the 21. Tested those levels pretty early in the session. It did look quite bearish to start, but then it ended up holding that 55 on a closing basis. And you can see big up candle to close out the session, big volume on that candle, so you would expect more continuation and a push to that level up here. Like I said, that level is 572.88. Moving over to the S&Ps here on the Tasty charts, you can see we are still grinding along that 8 EMA. So your support there is 570.19. As long as you hold that on a 4-hour candle on a closing basis, this is still a slow grind higher. Everything stays basically the same, slowly trending up and to the right. A little bit of volume coming in here today, a little bit better than yesterday. Overall, really nothing has changed. Upper ATR band would be 574.13, with that highest level being at 576.78. Moving over to the NASDAQ, you can see momentum bullish, RSI bullish, closed right at the high from the Thursday session, closed very close to the top of the candle. Again, another test of this trend line continues to hold there. Based off this, we did get just barely above the Thursday, the 22nd candle. So that should give you a little bit of push up to this next trend line here, which gives you about a 2.5 to 3% potential run to that level. So something to consider there. Looks pretty bullish going into the next session or two, and that would also give you the gap fill back here from the 16th to the 17th of July. And then looking at those shorter time frames here, you can see we do have this kind of trending structure. That price target there is up around 500. Again, about $15 higher from here. If 468.84 breaks, then you're looking for 492. Again, this continues to arc upwards, finding some strength. Did dip pretty low. Did touch my level, 481.94. Almost took that position off, and then it recouped those losses pretty quickly and then rallied up. And for tomorrow's session, again, looking for that break of 486.84. If that moves here, there should be a pretty good upside move to that next level. This does seem to be gaining momentum, like I mentioned. And then moving over to the NASDAQ here on the Tasty charts, you can see that 8 EMA on a closing basis that continues to hold up. Your support is 484.47. We did have that big wick down, did test the 21, but ended up holding in there. That was down around 481.41. Current 21 is 482.75. So in terms of a structure, still very bullish, still next level up at 489.36. And then the next level would be all the way up at 492.67. I'm not sure we're going to get all of that move, but certainly potential that we could see a rally pretty aggressively over the next day or two. As these ATR trailing stops continue to trend higher, 477.49 is the current stop. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow, you can see the Russell actually stayed a little bit more positive here today. We had two pretty decent down days up to day 0.17. Still cannot get back above that 221.49 level. Almost tested the 9 EMA there at 219.15. Didn't quite get there. Momentum continuing to step down. RSI holding up a little bit better. Kind of mixed signals, so still waiting for some clear direction. Honestly, this is kind of starting to look a little bit like a bull flag, which is interesting. Big move up, bull flag type setup. Looking for a bigger push. I still like the Russell here, and I still think it's going to push higher, and really nothing has changed. And then looking at the Dow, up candle there, 0.24, looking for this next trend line again. That's up around 424.15, continuing to grind between these two levels. Momentum and RSI still hanging in there. Very, very small steps to the bullish side. Moving over to Micron and Intel, both of these continue this kind of ramping price action towards that 55 EMA, 0.46 and 1.11% respectively, and price targets 102.06 and 24.44 here for Intel. Both of these have bullish momentum, bullish RSI, and I do think they're both going to continue to go a little bit higher into those zones. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft, Apple slightly positive, 0.41. Again, testing this trend line, still cannot get above it, still in the same consolidation range we've been in for a while. 224.36, right on top of the highly traded zone. My upper level 230.28, still in the same zone, no change. And then looking at Microsoft, actually looking quite a bit more bearish here. 3 days in a row of selling, 1% down when the rest of markets were up. Momentum continuing to fall here. RSI just barely below the SMA, so Microsoft showing some weakness. I would say this is probably going to test that 21 EMA down around 420.53. That gives you about a $10 down move potential. We did break the level on a closing basis, 429.88. After hours, we're up just a smidgen, 430.20, so want to see it get below 420.88, and then once it gets there, I would expect to kind of flush out move into this zone here, and then if that zone breaks, then your next support's all the way down at the 200 and that 413.36 area. So Microsoft looking quite a bit weaker. We've been saying that it was going to do this. Clear double top, clear rejection, seems to have more selling in it. Moving over to Tesla and NVIDIA. These have been doing pretty good things. Tesla did exactly what we thought, hit the level, 255.44. Got a gap up and a doji, interesting, at resistance. That is not super great. Might see a gap down on a little bit of a fall. Momentum still bullish, RSI still bullish. It is a little extended. Maybe we're going to push to the next one here at 264.60. If you do look at this price action back here, that's where we started to find resistance. So maybe it's got a little bit more in it. We'll see how it plays. But as for me, definitely hit that first price target. And then looking at NVIDIA, they finally started to find a little bit of strength here. So I saw an article saying that the CEOs finally stopped selling. We got a big 4% push or so. Broke this structure here. So we're back into bullish conditions, back above all the EMAs and SMAs. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. And it seems like NVIDIA is going to have a little bit of room here to at least 124.69. And then potentially back up to that 130.35 level, as long as that level breaks here. So NVIDIA finding a little bit of a resurgence, and it should have a little bit more in it for tomorrow's session. Moving over to Amazon and Alphabet, these continue to do kind of what we thought they were going to. Amazon continues to stay bullish, pushing towards this next trend line up around 260 or so. Another positive day, 0.04, just barely positive. Expect this to get into at least overbought conditions, probably just a little bit of a pullback in time there. Still like Amazon, still think it's going higher. Did fill this gap back here, but I think it's got a little bit more, at least to these highs, up around 195, 196. And then looking at Google, this continues to fade here. Momentum stepping to bearish. Still slightly bullish, 0.35, but it's back below this trend line here. Like it was yesterday, tested it, fell again, still looking for a push back down. 161.59 is the next level. And then this zone of EMAs right here is what I'm looking at, 159.61. And then if that level breaks, you got trend support down here around 158. I do think this is going to fall. Certainly could establish a higher low off of this previous low, like a potential for a left shoulder head, right shoulder forming, certainly possible. But either way, that means we're probably going to go a little bit lower in the short term. Moving over to staples and discretionaries, this continues to be exactly what we thought it was going to be. Staples consolidating, potentially falling, momentum bearish, RSI bearish. You can see that big wick rejection and the fall, still holding 82.53. and then discretionary is rocketing right to that next level. High of day was 246, just 5 cents off of my price target. I'm going to call that a touch. You do have a trend up here to a 125. It's been a very powerful move once we got this clean break here around 188. Rallied another $12 up to this zone here. Momentum bullish, RSI still bullish but overbought now, so this is probably done, at least in the short term. Moving over to oil and gas and transports. Oil and gas tried to go higher once again, gave it all back, finishing negative 0.64. Still cannot get above that 135.07 level. I just can't see it here. So at this point, step to bearish momentum, looking for a pullback, looking for a higher low setup. Again, kind of similar to Google actually, left shoulder head, right shoulder maybe. But either way, still a downtrend, waiting to see what happens here, being patient on oil and gas. And then transports, very powerful day, 2% higher, coming off of that 67.85 level, looking for 69.29. If that breaks 71.31, you would expect this to continue to go higher as the Dow has been going higher. We did get a step to bullish momentum in RSI, so looking for this to push 71.13 would be the next target. Moving over to wood and gold, you got wood jumping pretty strong, 1.6%, momentum bullish, RSI bullish, continuing to watch this, and it looks strong. So as long as this continues to look strong, we should be in good shape. And then gold, we said this was clean breakout here, 230.41, held the 21 EMA. It's continued to rocket here, looking for that 250 price target. Strong candle today, 1.4%. Everything continues to look good there for gold. It is pretty overbought now at a 74.37, but this is very much a rocket ship and still looking for that 250 price target. Moving over to RIOT and Marathon, both of these continue to look good, 2.7 and 2.12% respectively. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. I think these are going to push to that 55 EMA. That's at 864 here on RIOT, and then Mara up at 1795, so about another $1.50 higher from here. I just think it's going to go. I think we're going to see about a 10 or 11% push here. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish, continues to hold the structure. Everything looks good on both of these for a short-term push. Moving over to 20 and 50-day breadth, you can see 20-day basically flat, not moving much. Still in the same consolidation. 50-day, same thing here, slightly positive. Through a wick here, almost filled the gap, came up a little bit short. Momentum, it's been flat for basically 4 days. It did step down just slightly, but basically flat. So really no change in these same levels, looking for some clear direction. Really not seeing much of anything yet. Moving over to the dollar had a big sell-off off of that consumer confidence number. It started falling and then we got the data and it fell more. Dollar weakness, closed below all these previous levels. Momentum stepping back to bearish after the slight up candle yesterday. RSI breaking back down. Looking for this trend now at this point, down around 100.045. Then we'll see what happens once we touch that. If it breaks down, that could give markets a little bit more bullishness. And you can see this is basically the inverse of the SPY at this point. Consolidating, dipped a little bit low for the SPY, rallied a little bit for the dollar. Now the dollar is grinding lower while equities are grinding higher very slowly. Moving over to JNK and TLT. JNK continuing to find resistance, really no change to the thesis. Still very much an uptrend, still very much resistance there. And then looking at TLT, basically flat, 0.02. Momentum still bearish, RSI right at the 50 point. If it's going to bounce, it needs to do it here, push back above the trend line, get back above the 50 line. We'll see how it plays. Resistance still sitting at 99.13, looking for a push back above the 100 level if this momentum can start to push a little bit more bullish. Moving over to the VIX continued to fall here, hitting that 144 EMA finally at 1532. Low of day was 1527. We'll see if that ends up being a little bit of support or not. If not, 200 just behind it there at 15 at 1478. Right above my level, 1470. So getting into the zone, we expected it to fall to here, and then we'll see what happens from there. Right now, still very much a downtrend, still could consolidate here for a while before we see any spikes based on what we're seeing so far. Moving over to my accounts, I made a little bit of money, a little bit over $400, I think. And then looking at the IWM, no change to this position, still holding that. Max profit still at 224.14, still well below that. And then looking at the Qs, are rolled out to tomorrow for $483 for $3.61 credit, so max profit there. $486.61, so I got about another $1.30 of potential upside. It's going a little bit higher after hours, so that's something to consider. Could see a pretty decent rally, might establish a third set of shares here tomorrow. Like I said, everything looks pretty bullish going into tomorrow's session. session, so have to play for a little bit stronger bull push in tomorrow's. Have to play for a little bit stronger bull push tomorrow, in my opinion. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of markets right now. Are we going to get that stronger push tomorrow, or is it a fake out? Definitely let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.